Have you ever felt like something isn't quite right in your home, even when everything seems normal on the surface? Maybe it's a heaviness in the air, tension between loved ones that comes out of nowhere, or nights filled with restless sleep, strange dreams, and a sense that you're not really alone. Now here's the question that few dare to ask. What if the answer isn't physical, but spiritual? Many faithful Catholics proudly keep a bottle of holy water in their home. It sits quietly on a shelf, beside a statue of the Virgin Mary, or tucked near the front door. It's there, present, but unused. And that's where the danger begins. You see, Padre Pio, one of the most mystically gifted saints of the 20th century, warned us, holy water is not a decoration. It is not a superstition. It's a spiritual weapon. And like any weapon, it only works when you actually use it. In this video, we're going to talk about 5 spiritual mistakes that almost every Catholic makes with holy water. Mistakes that may be silently opening your home to anxiety, unrest, and spiritual vulnerability. And most importantly, we'll show you how to fix them, starting today. Because if you believe in the power of God, if you trust that your family deserves to be protected, then what you'll discover in the next few minutes could transform the way you live. Pray and rest. Don't just watch. Stay with me. This might be the moment your home starts to feel whole again. Spiritual foundation. Padre Pio and the meaning of holy water. Before we talk about what you can do with holy water, we need to talk about why it matters. Because this isn't just an old church tradition. This is a spiritual key that unlocks protection, peace, and power. And one man, more than anyone else in recent history, understood this. Padre Pio, born Francesco Forgione in a small village in Italy, Padre Pio lived a life that defied logic. He bore the stigmata, the wounds of Christ, for over 50 years. He could bilocate, read souls in confession, and performed healings that science still can't explain. But more than the miracles, what made him so extraordinary was his deep awareness of the invisible battle happening around us. The war between good and evil, between divine peace and spiritual oppression. To Padre Pio, holy water wasn't a quaint ritual, it was armor. He once said, "Holy water is the most powerful weapon against the devil." He used it constantly, not just in church but in everyday life. He would sprinkle it over the sick, over his bed, and even when he felt the presence of something dark. And he urged others to do the same, not out of fear, but out of faith. This is important. Padre Pio didn't believe holy water had magic in it. It's not superstition, it's sacramental. That means it doesn't work automatically. It works through faith, through intention, through prayer. The water itself is a sign, a vessel, but it's your belief, your spiritual authority as a child of God, that activates its grace. And yet, how often do we forget that? How often do we treat holy water like a religious souvenir, a keepsake, a thing, not a tool, not a weapon, not a gift? Padre Pio gave us a clear message. If you're serious about protecting your home, your loved ones, your peace, then use what the church has given you. Use it with reverence. Use it with trust. And use it every single day. Because you're not just decorating your home. You're claiming it for God. The first mistake, treating holy water as a rare emergency tool. One of the biggest spiritual mistakes Catholics make, and most don't even realize it, is saving holy water for rare occasions, for crises, for moments when something feels off, or when fear creeps in. A thunderstorm rolls in. A child has a nightmare. We reach for it, we use it, and then we put it away. But Padre Pio was clear. Holy water is not for emergencies only. It's meant to be part of your daily life, like bread on your table or air in your lungs. Imagine having a powerful remedy sitting in your cabinet, one that could protect your mind, your relationships, your sleep, and never opening it. That's exactly what many people do with holy water. They relegate it to the background. They wait until something goes wrong. But spiritual protection doesn't work like a fire alarm. It works like a daily shield. And if that shield isn't raised, you're walking into life unguarded. Let me tell you a story. Maria was a devout woman in her 60s. She had a little bottle of holy water her granddaughter brought her from a shrine in Italy. It sat by her nightstand for years. Maybe once or twice a year she'd sprinkle a little when someone in the family got sick, or when she felt an unsettling dream. But most of the time, it was untouched. What she didn't realize was that something had slowly changed in her home. Conversations felt colder. Her grandchildren bickered more often. At night, there was a strange heaviness that settled into the air like fog. Nothing dramatic, just off. Then one day, after hearing a sermon on Padre Pio's teachings, she made a quiet decision. Every morning before her coffee, she would walk through her home and gently sprinkle holy water in each room, whispering, "Lord, let your peace rest here. Let no harm enter this house." And at night, before bed, she would trace a small cross with holy water over her pillow and pray, "Father, protect my rest. Guard this space while I sleep." It didn't feel like much, but within weeks, something shifted. The house felt lighter. Her grandchildren laughed more. Maria herself began to sleep through the night for the first time in years. No medications, no therapy, just a simple return to a forgotten habit of faith. The first mistake is not using holy water daily. The solution is simple, but it requires intention and consistency. Padre Pio urged us, start your day and end your day with the power of God's grace. Your home is more than walls and furniture. It's a spiritual space. And how you treat that space every single day can change everything. The second mistake, using holy water without intention or prayer. The second mistake is more subtle, but just as dangerous, using holy water without your heart in it. We dip our fingers. We make the sign of the cross. Maybe we even sprinkle a little on our loved ones. But we're not really there. There's no prayer, no intention, no moment of faith. Just a habit, a gesture, a movement we go through because we were taught to do it, but we've forgotten why. Padre Pio warned us about this. He said, holy water is not magic. It's the faith behind it that calls down grace. Think about that. It's like writing a love letter versus sending a text message out of duty. One is alive with meaning. The other, just words on a screen. The same action, completely different impact. That's how many of us treat holy water. We sprinkle it with doubt in our hearts, or with minds already distracted. We do it quickly, while thinking about errands, bills, or the next TV show we're going to watch. And we wonder why nothing changes. But grace responds to faith, not routine. When Padre Pio used holy water, he always prayed. Always. It wasn't a long poetic prayer. Sometimes it was just a whisper, "Lord, protect this soul," or "May your peace fill this room." What mattered wasn't how many words he said, but the truth behind them. So here's the fix, and it's simple. Every time you use holy water, pause, just for 5 seconds. Put your mind where your hand is. Speak a short, real prayer, even if it's only one sentence. Try this. Jesus, cleanse this space with your love. Or, Heavenly Father, guard my heart today. Or simply, let this water bring peace in your name. Do this before entering your bedroom, before blessing a child, before you walk out the door in the morning. And if you struggle with doubt, say that too. God isn't offended by your honesty. He draws near to sincerity. You don't need to be a theologian. You don't need the perfect words. You just need to mean it. Because every time you use holy water with faith, you're not just going through the motions. You're reaching across the veil, calling heaven into your home. The third mistake: ignoring the spiritual gateways of your home. Doors, windows, entryways. They're such ordinary parts of our homes. We rarely give them a second thought. But in the spiritual life, they're not ordinary at all. Padre Pio understood something most of us forget. These are not just physical entrances. They are spiritual gateways. The Church has long taught that the enemy rarely barges in uninvited. He waits for openings, literal and symbolic. And according to Padre Pio, the places where the world enters your home are the same places where spiritual disturbance can sneak in. Think about it. Doors and windows are how light, people, and energy flow in and out. We lock them at night to keep intruders away. But how often do we bless them to keep spiritual unrest out? In the Old Testament, when the angel of death passed through Egypt, God didn't just ask his people to pray. He told them to mark their doorposts with the blood of the Lamb. That sign turned a house into a refuge. And today, holy water is our sign, not of superstition, but of surrender, of faith. When we bless our doorways, we're not just making a gesture. We're declaring spiritual boundaries. We're saying, only God's peace is welcome here. Padre Pio encouraged a simple weekly habit. Once a week, preferably on Sunday, walk to the entrances of your home, stand at your front door, dip your fingers in holy water, and trace a small cross right on the frame. And then pray something like this: Lord, may these doors open only to your light and close to all that brings darkness. Then walk to your windows, especially the ones facing the street or the outside world. Gently sprinkle them and say, may only blessing and truth pass through this window. Let no unrest or fear cross this threshold. You don't need to rush. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be present. And here's the truth. Families that begin doing this, truly blessing their entrances, often report changes they didn't expect. Less arguing, more restful sleep, fewer emotional outbursts, a sense of calm that settles over the house like a gentle hush. It's not superstition. It's stewardship. You've been entrusted with a home. Make it a place where peace lives, and it begins at the doorway. The fourth mistake: forgetting to bless your bed and bedroom. We think of sleep as a physical need, a way for our bodies to rest, to reset. But Padre Pio saw it differently. To him, sleep wasn't just a pause in the day. It was a vulnerable spiritual space where our souls are open, exposed, and often unguarded. That's why he believed your bedroom is not just a room. It's a sanctuary, or at least it should be. The fourth mistake many believers make is forgetting to bless the very place where they rest. Let me ask you this. Have you ever gone to bed feeling exhausted, only to wake up feeling more tired? Have you struggled with anxious thoughts at night, or had dreams that leave you unsettled, even afraid? You're not alone, and more importantly, you're not powerless. Padre Pio knew that spiritual unrest doesn't always scream. Sometimes it whispers in the silence of the night. That's why he encouraged a simple ritual, one so small, yet so powerful, that it can reshape the atmosphere of your entire night. Before you sleep, take a few drops of holy water. Make the sign of the cross on your forehead. Then sprinkle a few drops gently on your pillow, your blanket, the corners of your bed, and pray something like, "Lord, may this bed be a place of peace. May angels stand guard over my rest. Protect my dreams, calm my mind, and let your presence fill this room through the night." That's it. Less than a minute. But what you're doing in that moment is creating a spiritual boundary around your rest. You're saying, "This bed is holy ground." Padre Pio understood that even when we sleep, spiritual battles can continue. But with prayer and with God's presence invited in, our sleep becomes more than rest. It becomes restoration. And here's what many people report when they start this practice. Nightmares stop. Sleep deepens. Morning anxiety fades. Waking up feels lighter. You might not notice it on day one, but within days or weeks, peace starts to replace restlessness. Your bedroom doesn't need to be a place of worry. It can become a space of healing. The world will not protect your sleep, but God will, if you invite Him. The fifth mistake: neglecting the most vulnerable. Children, the sick, and the elderly. The fifth mistake is not loud, it's not obvious, but it might be the most heartbreaking of all. We forget to bless the ones who need it most. Padre Pio had a tender heart for the vulnerable, especially children, the sick, and the elderly. He knew through divine insight that these souls are like open windows. They sense things we don't. They carry the emotional and spiritual weight of the home, often in silence, and yet we so often overlook them. We might pray for them. We might care for them physically, but we forget that spiritual protection is just as essential as food, medicine, or a warm blanket. Children especially are deeply sensitive. Their nightmares, sudden mood swings, unexplained fears, they're not always just phases. Sometimes they're spiritual echoes of a home that's unsettled. Padre Pio often said that a child's innocence allows them to feel both good and evil more clearly than adults can. The same is true for the elderly and the sick. As the body weakens, the soul becomes more exposed. Pain and fear open cracks that only God's peace can fill. So what can you do? Start with a simple gesture. Before your child or grandchild goes to bed, dip your thumb in holy water and gently trace a small cross on their forehead. Whisper, "May God bless you. May His angels watch over you tonight. And may Padre Pio pray for you always." If you care for an elderly parent, a sick spouse, or even if you're visiting someone in the hospital, take holy water with you. Hold their hand. Sprinkle just a few drops over them. Say, "Lord, let this water bring your peace." Bring comfort to their body and strength to their soul. It's not about ritual. It's about relationship with God and with the people He's placed in your care. And if your loved ones live far away, bless their photo. Speak their name aloud as you pray. Distance doesn't matter in the spiritual realm. God hears. Padre Pio intercede, and grace reaches further than your arms ever could. This kind of blessing doesn't just protect, it connects. It reminds the people you love that they are not alone. In a world full of noise, fear, and uncertainty, what greater gift can you give than peace? Padre Pio believed that blessing the vulnerable wasn't just a duty. It was an act of love, a holy embrace, a spiritual inheritance, and it begins with one drop of holy water, one moment of faith, one whisper of prayer. Real-life transformation. One family's story of peace restored. Her name is Clara, a widow in her early 70s, living in a quiet suburban neighborhood just outside Milwaukee. For years, her house was a place of comfort, soft light, quiet prayers, the scent of cinnamon and coffee in the mornings. But then, something began to shift. After her husband passed away, Clara found herself living with her daughter and 2 grandsons. At first it felt like a blessing, family under one roof. But over time, the house grew tense. The boys, once sweet and playful, started arguing over everything. Her daughter seemed constantly exhausted. Clara herself couldn't sleep more than 3 hours a night without waking up in a panic, for reasons she couldn't explain. I started to feel like I was a stranger in my own home, she later shared. There was this heaviness, as if something unseen had settled in the walls. One Sunday, while watching a YouTube video on her tablet, just like this one, she heard about Padre Pio's teachings on holy water. It wasn't flashy, it wasn't even particularly dramatic, but something in the words pierced her heart. You don't need to understand it. Just believe and begin. So Clara began. The next morning, she found an old bottle of holy water from her parish tucked behind a row of books. She quietly walked to each doorway in the house and whispered a prayer. She sprinkled water on the boys' pillows before school and again before bed. She touched the forehead of her sleeping daughter and prayed for her strength. It didn't happen overnight. But within 2 weeks, the arguing began to fade. Within a month, her daughter was laughing again. Clara herself started sleeping through the night, for the first time in almost 4 years. It was like fog lifting, she said. Not all at once, but slowly, surely, the air in this house began to feel lighter, kinder, warmer. And to this day, Clara still blesses her home every morning. It's part of her coffee routine now, right after the kettle whistles. This is not fiction. There are thousands of Claras out there, quiet souls who decided to believe again, who took a forgotten sacramental off a dusty shelf and used it as it was meant to be used, not out of fear, but out of love. If this story moves you, it's for a reason. Maybe you're Clara, or maybe someone you love is, and maybe today is your day to begin. So now, you've seen the full picture. 5 spiritual mistakes that so many of us make, not out of rebellion, but out of routine. We forget to use holy water daily. We use it without prayer. We ignore the doorways and windows of our homes. We neglect to bless our rest. And worst of all, we forget to protect those who are most vulnerable. But here's the beautiful truth. Every one of those mistakes has a simple solution. You don't need to be a saint. You don't need to have the perfect prayer. You just need to begin with a drop of water, a whisper of faith, a heart that says, Lord, come into this place. Be present here. Padre Pio never asked us to be perfect. He asked us to pray, to trust, and to not worry. If your home has felt heavy, if your nights have been restless, if your heart has longed for peace, know this. You are not alone. God has already given you the tools. The Church has already blessed them. And all that's left is for you to use them with love. So tonight, as the day comes to a close, take your bottle of holy water, bless your space, bless your loved ones, bless your own heart, and then rest, knowing that you are covered, protected, and held in the arms of a God who never sleeps. And if this message has touched your soul, I ask you, leave a comment below. Say, Padre Pio, bless my home, not for me, for you, as an act of faith, as a prayer, as a beginning. Because when you open the door to God, He walks in, and when you invite peace, it stays. Until next time, may your nights be quiet, your mornings be blessed, and your home be filled with the light of heaven.